Rogue Sentry is a one-bit pixel art styled twin-stick shooter that sees you playing as a sentry droid that has become sentient, and instead of killing the rest of humanity because you're currently guarding a prison and the way to escape it, you will decide to go against your drone friends, kill them all instead, and rescue some humans trapped inside the big prison that you are guarding and leading them to the exit and to escape. Depending on how well you do and some choices you make along the way, there is different endings that you can unlock, which also unlock different game modes for you to then replay this game and have a slightly different approach and style to what you previously had. This means that there's some replayability, there's definitely some difficulty here, and it comes together in a really compact and concise couple of hours of entertainment that I really enjoyed. Rogue Sentry operates a bit like a Metroidvania and a little bit like a maze. There's 80-ish single screens full of enemies for you to vanquish and conquer. Some of them are a bit more puzzly, some of them are just overwhelmed, full of enemies for you to dodge and miss their attacks and survive to get to the end. But you can tackle this in pretty much any order that you like, so long as you defeat various different generators along the way. Generators power laser beams that you can't get through without just exploding and dying, and so this does cut off certain areas of the game until you clear previous generators. And each generator will have several screens that all plug together to create a unique mini experience inside the game. So one area is entirely dedicated to moving conveyor belts. So you'll have to clear certain enemies which unlock different conveyor belts for you to move around and back and forth. And you only get a clear sound if you clear and kill everything in the screen. And sometimes that means coming off the screen and then circling back round and coming up for a middle part of the screen which you couldn't get to unless you went out and came back in a different way. And that's how you solve the conveyor belt area. But then there'll be a stealth area where you can technically not kill very many things and time your movements to try and get back and forth through various different sentry drones. And if you get spotted, they will hunt you down and keep shooting at you, and it's difficult to avoid their fire. So you want to avoid things as much as possible. Another area is much more rhythmic to a degree because it's got spinning laser beams, and lasers kill you with one hit, whereas other people's firepower doesn't necessarily do that and chips away a quarter of your health. And so you have to be very precise and make sure that you can dodge in between the gaps, and you're essentially popping out from behind walls, shooting a few things and getting back behind in time for the laser to pass you, and doing that rinse and repeat to slowly move your way through these rooms. If you survive those rooms, you'll then meet the generator boss, which is normally surrounded by lots of other enemies and lots of firepower that you'll need to avoid. There's no specific dodge in this game, but there are two speeds of movement. Your normal speed when you aren't shooting and a slower speed when you are, and knowing when to just abandon ship and run away and dodge bullets rather than just keep on firing out is the key crux of knowing how to survive in Rogue Sentry, particularly when you've got enemies that will hunt you down with a laser and you've only got a second or two to move out of the way of where that fire aim is coming in so that you can be safe. Otherwise, it's a one-hit kill. Thankfully, making this all much more enjoyable is the collision detection in this game, which works well, and it's always a key staple whenever you're doing a twin-stick shooter. My only criticism of Rogue Sentry is that sometimes the one-bit pixel art style actually causes you visual problems, that you might get stuck on something that you didn't realise was a wall, or it might be that you didn't spot some enemy fire coming towards you because you didn't quite click or clock that the outline of an enemy was there. And that happened to me occasionally. It did cause a few deaths, and because you then go back a few screens and you have to kind of kill everything and clear things again, it did mean that my progress in the game was somewhat stunted whenever I came across that issue. But I found this an enjoyable, compact, pocket twin-stick shooter. I quite like the one-bit pixel art style, although I appreciate that's maybe not for everyone. Pretty decent chiptune soundtrack running around in the background of this too that takes you back to a retro year, and the fact that there are different modes that you can unlock that then changes the gameplay at a fundamental core level and multiple endings to get to it does mean that you've got several hours of replayability. So for the price point and for the ease and fun that I had playing with it, Rogue Sentry gets a thumbs up from me. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.